Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jothi Gouthaman. It's my honor to host this panelist as a moderator. So we have some interesting points which we have discussed also as a team. We discussed it earlier to this. So we want to share that, and this is like I want to share some of our experiences. Then we will have some questions which audience also can ask. So as a role, my day job, I do the sales and pre-sales for GenAI for India market. So that's a very tough job which we are doing it because the outcomes are not yet seen. Okay, so we will start with this. Sir, I want to share one story which recently in India market you must have read in newspapers as well. See, on an average every day there is 2 trucks of fuel is getting lost in India. Have anyone read this news? 2 trucks are lost in India. So after it is getting fueled from the depots, by the time it comes to the fuel station, it is lost 2 trucks per day. It was a very big issue for the government of India, and we were asked to come and do an analysis of where it is. So we applied GenAI on the cloud. We tried to do an analysis of what's happening because the truck is not traceable in India market. So then what we found out is the trucks which are ready for FC, means where they have to renew that FCs, the truck value is only 7 lakhs to 8 lakhs. So these guys, the scamsters, they fill the truck in that and then they dismantle the truck itself. So it's a loss of 7 lakhs versus 30 lakhs of rupees for one truck of load. What did we do? So the AI was able to find out and give a report of all these trucks which were lost were due for FCs. So we were able to find out the problem from there. So this is just one tip of the problem which we have solved. Now in this journey, as a solution architect, I had a challenge of getting the data loaded into this. It's a huge data, 9 crore, 10 crore data which is moving it from on-prem to the cloud. It took 8 months for us to move the data, and latency issue is there. Now, I want to open up my question. So Anil, for you it is. See, now we all had the journey of moving to the cloud. Now we are also seeing a journey of moving back from cloud to the on-prem. So the reasons is data control, where the data is, how the control is, how much time, latency and all. Do you face this as a vendor? Do you face this in any of your clients, or how you would handle this?
Yeah, good afternoon friends. Thank you for the question. So it's a very interesting question, and I would say a situation we are facing, as well as this is all around, in a lot of forums it's being asked. So I would like to answer this with a very interesting analogy, like the human life. Yeah, like we are all educated in a college, then we get into a job, and then we get married, then we move into a rented house, right, with the smaller salary. After 5 years, we buy a new house, own house, with savings or some EMI. We buy own house and move to the own house. Does it mean we are repatriating the rented house? Does it mean the rented house demands are going down? No, new people are occupying. At one stage we need a rented house. At one stage we have money, we are going into a own house. After we are 45 or 50, we have a lot of savings. We move into a own bungalow, a villa. We construct based on our own needs, right? We have a higher needs. We need a swimming pool, we need a home garden, we need a jacuzzi, we need a steam sauna, all those things. Higher workload. We have huge workloads. We have a bigger family, nuclear family. We construct a big house and go there. Does it mean rented house is getting repatriated? No. Flats are getting outdated? No, doesn't mean that way. I want to compare this the cloud analogy. A cloud is great for flexibility, no doubt, pay as you go model. So people get into the cloud, but at one stage, especially in today's age when AI is demanding so much of power and GPUs, you can't manage it with the public cloud. So there is a component of a hybrid cloud or an on-prem cloud coming up. So, but unfortunately, in some parts of industry, this is being seen as going back from out of public cloud. But I don't think so. It's like I told you about the human evolution. It's an evolution. The way we progress, the way we evolve in the industry. At one stage, public cloud becomes unmanageable or very expensive. We may have to move to on-prem so that we can have our own resources and workloads. This is my view.
Very nice, very empathetical and very touching answers. So hope we all will take this answer because this is some question which is coming frequently. So thanks Anil for that. So next I want to ask for Vani. So Vani is from healthcare, she's the director for AstraZeneca. So for her, data is not just something which is very sensitive. So it is very life critical it is. So where the data is going, how the data is going, moving on to the cloud is just not a technical decision alone for her and for the company. And it is more of a legal and ethical one. So with all this geopolitical state and having this data move from one continent to another, how are you shaping this cloud solution for this pharma industry, Vani?
Thank you. So that's a fantastic question, and not only AstraZeneca, right? For any life science organization or any pharma organization, I think this is very crucial decision-making factor when it comes to data governance and data privacy. And today we also talk about a lot of laws even within our country also. So what is more essential here is data privacy and the governance. How do we do it? Even when it comes to cloud. That's number one. And number two is how are we governing the data in terms of putting those security protocols, and how are we agreeing with the cloud service providers? So what becomes essential for us is having that shared accountability and responsibility with the cloud service providers. Because what will happen here is, as a CSP, they can make sure that the cloud itself is secured, but for us as an organization, the product-based companies organization also has a responsibility that our data is secure. So we can't just rely on the CSP and say that they're taking care of everything. So it is a shared responsibility. And the other thing is the cross-border transaction or transformation of information. How does it go? Like if we want to move any data internationally, even within the organization, I think there have to be stringent protocols or ways for us to see how we can do it. So the impacts, coming back to the question on what the impacts could be, is like when you're choosing the service providers, it is always essential for us to choose someone who is already ready to offer these things for us, so that we don't have to pick multiple service providers for various things, who's compliant on who's compliant on be it the HIPAA, the GDPR and things like that. I think that would be very essential for us. And second thing is the shared responsibility. And third thing is like people who have these security tools ready, like the service provider, the CSPs should be somebody who think ahead of us, who are always available and ready for solution, who thinks that our data is their data and partner and work with us. I think these are few things, a few nuances which really helps us to be more cognizant, to stay ahead in the game, but also make sure that we are taking the best practices with what the cloud offers.
Thank you. So now we have talked about cloud on-premises and data and all. So now I want to ask this for our Oracle friend. Okay, this cloud, when it comes, what comes to our mind is the uniqueness of scalability. Auto scaling is there. And what is associated to that? Whenever we think of cloud, it is scalable, compute is more, storage is more. Along with that, cost is also more. Okay. So now, how are we going to, because when you think of an AI, so how are we going to balance, what's your view on how to balance this cost versus ownership?
So, good afternoon, all of you. So, one of the things that we are saying now, AI as we see today, right? AI, because AI has been there for a long time, right? So NLP, it's been for 50, 60 years, the concept of what AI has been in research mode and implementation mode in different places. So let's talk in the context of what AI is, what we expect AI to be today, right? Yes, it is right. By default, the landing space for anybody who wants to do AI is a very expensive investment in infrastructure, running it, and understanding that potentially I may not get an outcome that I want to. Because today, AI is, or rather what we are doing with AI and what we want out of AI is not something that we are very sure of. And I'll qualify what I mean by that. When you start a AI project, most customers that I have seen are doing the project from the point of view of, let me do this, and see what comes out of it. And if I can find something interesting, then I will monetize it. I will use it in whether internal systems or I will use it for my an external product. But as you can understand, through multiple cycles of going through big data cycles and so on and so forth, that's a very expensive proposition. So a couple of things that we are advising and we are seeing intelligent customers do is this. One, they are looking to see if AI has to be done only on pure infrastructure. Can we take AI capabilities, architect AI capabilities into the platform layer, right? If you think of cloud, right, there is the core infrastructure area, it's compute, storage, network, so on and so forth. And then there's one layer above that, which is basically a platform services like, analytics, database, and so on and so forth. And then on top of it, you have business applications. So is it possible, can we architect solutions in the above two layers also where the context of AI is predefined? So I could look at let's say I have a ERP. Can I incorporate AI as part of getting the ERP package as a service where that AI which I train will be in the context of how I'm using the ERP itself? So now what I'm doing is, even if I'm just trying to figure out what it could be, I have a business context. It could be supply chain. It could be my HR optimization. It could be any of those things, but I have a context to look at it. Then the outcomes tend to be a little bit more immediately impacting. So there, whatever money you spend in is producing cognizable results for you immediately. That's one point. Performance, actually funny enough, performance is number 3. It's not number 1. Most folks will come to, compliance. Those are the components that come into play. So the reason having something in the PaaS area or the SaaS area is the ecosystem there intrinsically keeps things like compliance in mind. So when a customer tries to work on those areas, what it simply does is, now let's talk simple economics. If I can show my board of directors tangible solutions that I have got and tangible outcomes that I have got through using AI in these layers, then their propensity and the tolerance for investing in the larger projects in the infrastructure base is higher. So the evolution of architecture, simply saying, is can I get the low-hanging fruit in controlled environments or controlled services in the PaaS and the SaaS layer first, so that I get the runway to be able to experiment and I don't end up being the big data experiments of 10 years ago. So.
It's fine, it's correct. I agree to it. So the first point, one point which he says is, whenever we go for an AI implementation on a cloud, first we need a runway, because more of innovation, cloud supports all AI innovations. Whatever we want to try it out, it supports for us. But the returns, when you want to give back to the client, it takes around 8 months for us to start seeing the benefit out of that. So one small example which I want to share with you all is, there are some low-lying areas where, as Mr. Venkat was saying, we can hit it. One is the business process optimization area. On the technical side also, if you see, 90% or 95% of the technology implementation which we have, or all the legacy applications, they don't have a design document itself. So now, with all this Gen AI and AI models, we are able to generate the design document, architecture document, test cases. These are all very fast, very quick. So this, when we start with this kind of approach, we are able to see some tangible benefits, and then with more and more and learning of it, then it comes to our business process automation.
So it's just a quick sub point, right? So most of your organization, the CFO is going to approve your funds, right? CFO is not necessarily a technical guru. He's going to come and say, I gave you X amount of dollars, X amount of rupees. What have you produced for me? That I can either say reduce my risk, improve my brand, or produce new lines of revenue, right? If you do not have an answer for that in a 1 year period of time, the appetite to support you, which is actually unfortunately needed in infrastructure-based LLMs and things of the nature, that appetite is not there. So I use the word street credibility. Gain your street credibility architecturally by doing it in areas where, for example, ERP means SCM. SCM optimization is straightforward. Either you are optimizing it, not optimizing it, or you're getting solutions say, I can optimize it this way.
Good.
Simple as that.
No, but Venkat touched us on the other point also, how to get approval from CFO. So that's the very key part of it in any of these projects, getting from that. And Vani, again, back to one question on the same point which you shared. See, now the core part of all our AI or Gen AI is LLM. So where it is all about learning data. So in your industry, how do you see these learning models coming up? Because it's more of sensitive data, it is custom LLM or it's going to be open LLM. So how is that in your industry?
Yeah, so while this is a subject in itself, like, growing a lot because learning is required, and the challenge that we see, not only in our organization, but in general perspective also, is what kind of data do you supply? Like how, the sensitivity of the data that we speak about. And most of these are like relating to, like, it could be relating to clinical trials, and the sensitive data that is provided to AI systems, to learning. So a couple of things that could be kept in mind. Of course, there is a broad framework that every organization creates, and we do as well, in terms of how this data can be given, and whether it should be, like, the data should be masked, and at what level of information can you give, like how less can you provide. That is critical. We have a framework, but some of the things that I'd like to quickly share is the magnitude of the data that you want to give. That is number one. And then how much of privacy that you want to hold. This is like something which is like a complete privacy. And then review. We do have a review board that kind of reviews the information that we provide. This could be very critical information, although without losing the essence of what it is going to deliver in terms of the LLM model that is going to give as an outcome. And then these data have to be something which is, like, kind of got reviewed from the board that we have internally for scrutinizing this data, what level of data this is. And the fourth thing is, of course, how less or limited we can provide, right? So in terms of not giving away all the patient information or the personal information, right from, collecting, then how do you want to process it, then how do you want to transfer this information, and to what level you're getting it back. So this is properly audited so that it doesn't go and get used in a different way. So I think that protocol is very clear as an organization without losing an essence of why we are doing it.
So yes, continuing to your point, Vani, now when we say this custom LLM, so that gives us more control on it, to extend also what Venkat's topic about it. So we don't need to expose the entire data to the cloud. So with the custom LLM, we are having on-prem cloud as well. So Venkat, which you are sharing the point, it's an on-prem cloud and we have the custom LLM. So then the problem is getting sorted out because so you have the control of the data.
Exactly. That's a brilliant point. That's why it's always recommended, prefer to have that hybrid approach. Yes. Where we can still protect our data on-prem, and we can also leave what can be given to the CSPs in data as well.
Yeah. So then one more topic which Anil, I want to get your feedback or get your experience on this. See, as a solution provider, as a Kendrill person, so you must have seen that we have crossed this cloud first journey as well. That cloud first journey is no more it is. Now it is a smart cloud, how it is. Yeah. So with this cloud coming in, we are getting an unmatched experience of foundations or innovations, all we can do it. Okay. So how do you advise your client how to manage this cost between this boundaryless experiment innovations on the cloud? So have you faced that kind of challenges, Anil?
Yeah, absolutely. We have this challenge day in, day out, no doubt about it, nothing to deny that actually. So people have entered cloud with a different mindset actually. If you say 10 years down the line, the cloud adoption started picking up and companies moved into cloud like for various reasons. One is, you can say, the scalability, flexibility, pay as you go, all those reasons they entered into the cloud. It was more of, having your workloads migrated, your ERP systems migrated, it was that. But if you see the past 4-5 years, the game has changed completely because of AI. Things have literally, I would say, flipped actually. So now it's not, a question of this or that. Now it is becoming this and that. That's what I see the trend happening. So that's how we go back to the customers. It's all again, it's all case to case basis. There is no one thing fits all solution, unfortunately. In fact, IT is always like that, and especially this cloud and AI space is evolving in such a way that things are so dynamic. So it's all based on the need, the situation. So I think that Vani was mentioning today the best strategy to go about is definitely the hybrid cloud strategy. That is going to make it give you the flexibility, at the same time help you to control the cost also.
So for the same question, little bit rephrased, I want to hear from Venkat also on this. See here now, Venkat, this cloud era of storage and compute is all now gone. So it's more of now intelligent infrastructure. So from Oracle, do you see the shift moving from public to private to hybrid, or how is that movement happening in the market?
So I have a unique perspective because Oracle supports all the three modes from day one from an architecture congruity point of view. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Okay? So cloud provides logically the fantastic potential to manage costs while addressing a lot of the traditional risks you had on managing infrastructure and software. Right? It did. Now that is unquestionable. Simple thing like patching your environments to have a better security posture is better done by somebody who has built the product and knows how to do it, rather than kind of rely on your own folks. Human error is the biggest cause of usual mess ups. Now, that being said, inherently we're seeing so many challenges associated with just being a pure public cloud service provider, right? One of the things that we are seeing is in evolution to, and this is Oracle has pioneered, it's not a plug to Oracle, but I have an answer for it. That's the reason I'm saying this. So what Oracle essentially did was, can I take my product and put it in your data center, but you get it managed and charged like a cloud service. Example, some of you may not know, Exadata is a flagship product for Oracle. It's a high-performant engineered system for database and infrastructure combined. A lot of banks run it. Pretty expensive piece of hardware, and what typically used to happen was customer will buy an Exadata, drop it in the data center, and they manage every bit of it, right? Still, we had great support from Oracle. If something went wrong, the system will talk to Oracle, we'll have an engineer come in there, change parts, do all this stuff, fantastic. But that's not cloud. At the same time, if you want to have Exadata, which typically runs mission critical applications, sit in a public cloud center, there are concerns associated with that depending on which industry you're in. Oracle came back and said, how we solve the problem is, can I have cloud at customer? We will drop the Exadata in your data center. The control plane will sit with us. Control plane cannot access anything in your environment, up to and inclusive data, profiles, and so on and so forth. So the patching, etc., that you typically want somebody to do and has to be managed is not a, what you call a cost, innovation delivering component. We'll take care of it. And we'll bill you like a cloud provider does, except that thing sits in your data center. So in evolution, what I'm saying is, yes, a hybrid cloud is where it is. Some modifications and variations of hybrid cloud is what's going to be critical for making AI work especially, right? And what that modification is going to be determined by the architecture and the partners that you have. And ultimately, remember one thing. Technology is exactly as effective and as promising as you decide to use it. So your architecture, how you architect, following best practice from day one, working with effective partners, is going to determine how well is it a private cloud, a public cloud, or a hybrid cloud is going to work for you. But the generic thought processes with the technology debt that you have in place, an effective architecture would be is shift to hybrid cloud, but not in how it's defined today. Definitions are constantly changing, like I just mentioned.
Yeah, that's how it's happening in the industry now. It's no more it is one cloud it is. Yeah. Because now the architecture is so decoupled it is. So I can move one component to the cloud and other component to the on-prem.
Actually, another example, and this is not directly related to AI, but as a cloud adoption strategy, right? So there is no customer here and no company here that's exclusively a single CSP customer. Some of you would have GCP, as in Azure, you have Oracle, you have whole AWS, whole 9 yards. Now you have invested in there, and it's illogical to try and expect you to pull everything out. So what did we CSPs do? We had a partnership that says, okay, my strengths are database. Let me make our database available in another cloud or our own cloud as a service. So today you can subscribe to Oracle database in GCP, or Azure, or AWS, or Exadata. Okay, so on our own OCI. So in essence, what you've done is we our CSPs are working and combining our services so that you, as a subscriber, as a user, can get that exact combination that you want from any service provider that basically you prefer to work with, or you already invested in a significant amount of money into. So those are the modifications that are going to come and make a difference in how your architecture is going to be sustaining and growing your business going forward.
Okay. So Vani, again, one more question for you. So see, still what is going in my mind is, as an enterprise director of an IT, so do you still think this AI on cloud is economically, financially viable, or is there some rethinking happening at your organization level?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic question, which not only for my organization, for everyone else to also think about, right? So rethink is definitely not if it's viable, because the answer is it is viable, right? For innovation, for availability, scalability, flexibility, everything. But I'd say rethink in terms of innovative consumption. So how do we want to make use of it, right? So number one could be like everyone spoke about, like hybrid strategy. How can we adopt an hybrid strategy in terms of cloud? Then second thing is, what kind of trade-offs, cost trade-offs are we making in comparison to performance? How are we actually effectively utilizing the infrastructure that we have? That is one thing that we could think of, because the first thing when we think about cost is like, how can I reduce my cost? So I can also tell you, like, by effectively using cloud infrastructure, we can also think about not spending a lot on capital expenditure. So I think it's the shift in terms of rethinking how can we consume effectively versus is there something that we can reduce on cost. So cost optimization, of course, is there, but then can we optimize the productivity is something that we should think from a rethinking aspect.
Yes. So exactly. So see, it is no more an use case for the cloud it is. It's going to be a lever for us on the cloud it is.
Exactly.
So that I agree to it. So now, as we enter into the cloud journey of embarkation or in journey in that, so I feel this AI is going to become like a co-pilot for us, guide us what we should do, all those things. So that's the point. So we'll open it for the audience.
Yeah, so Vani, this is for you. I come from a large organization where we have massive data and we have upscale data center, which is co-location. We have large capacity as well. Now we have a set of folks who generate a lot of R&D data, very high volume of those. Should we keep those on-prem or should we push it into cloud?
Sorry, the answer definitely cannot be like yes or no. We need to see what the data is, like how long you want to use it. Because when we also create the framework and strategy, we want to decide like how long you want to keep this data for its future requirement, or the internal governance agreement that we make. So we'll have to look at it and then decide. But I'm sure your organization is also following the regulatory aspects, right, and rules. Like say some countries like 5 years, 3 years, or whatever it is. Based on that, I think we need to take a call.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.